Why is the UK public so primed to accept lies? And when I say lies, I am referring to in the media, in press. If we want to understand how this happened, we must resist the temptation to blame an individual or any particular person or persons. This was not about one particular headline, not one commentator, and certainly not even one newspaper. What we are examining is conditioning. Yes, that word, conditioning. I guess I should start to put my sociology degree to work. For generations, the British public has been raised inside a culture that teaches respect for hierarchy before empathy, for the individual. Authority is inherited. Institutions are presumed moral. Tradition is framed as wisdom rather than habit. From childhood, people are taught quietly, persistently, that it is improper to challenge power directly. One learns to endure, to keep calm, to carry on. So when conflict arises between an institution and a person, the reflex is not to ask who is telling the truth, but who is entitled to be believed. This distinction matters. It absolutely does. And that is our main topic for today in this episode. We will be going down a journey. I hope you come along with me. And in Royal Circle news, Prince Harry expected to return to the UK as tabloid trials begin. He's expected to be there on Monday, this coming Monday, to testify in his and other lawsuit against Associated Newspaper Limited, which is the Daily Fail. And as expected, the smear campaigns have begun. And this time they're trying to target also the lawyers. So I'll be talking about a article that came out in the Telegraph. Now, did you know? Did you know? Because this completely flew over and I didn't even know this was happening. Did you know that Lord Rothermere is about to acquire the Telegraph, making him own more than 50% of printed news press in the UK. I mean, can the regulators get any more stupid? Any more stupid if they approve this? Also, we'll be looking at Kate and William doing separate engagements. Oh my gosh, so the divorce rumors have escalated. I mean, can you imagine a couple, a married couple, doing engagements separately? I mean, if it's valid for the Sussexes, then it must be valid for the Wales. So if when the Sussexes do separate engagement, that's the rumor, then I guess it's equally for the Wales, isn't it? Well, we'll see about that. And we will start to, let me see, teach some people who call themselves journalists what true journalism is. Welcome. This is Majesty Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Don't go anywhere. The British press does not operate merely as a mirror of public opinion. It has long functioned as a surrogate authority, a narrator of national reality. For decades, the same tabloids arrived on the same breakfast tables, the same columnists framed the same stories, the same language repeated day after day until it no longer felt like persuasion. It felt like atmosphere. By the time Meghan Sussex entered public life, many people had already observed a dangerous assumption. If something is repeated often enough, it must be true. Evidence became optional. Familiarity did the work. We are often told that the press learned its lesson after the death of Princess Diana. This is a comforting myth, not true at all. What actually happened was more subtle and more disturbing. There was public grief, yes. There were flowers, tears, apologies, but there was no structural reckoning. The system, the structure remained the same. Nothing changed. Instead, the narrative shifted. Diana was reframed as fragile, complicated, emotional, someone who struggled. The cruelty inflicted upon her was softened into invisibility. So you see what they did there? They reframed the narrative. They classified her as something else, labeled her that way. And all of a sudden, the spotlight is no longer on them. The lesson observed was not ever again. We've heard that many a times, never again. There's things I would like to say right now, but I'm not going to say them. So, never again, but this is how you survive accountability. So, the lesson really that they learned was this is how you survive accountability. So, when Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, later expressed distress, the public had already been taught the script. If a woman suffers inside the monarchy, she must be part of the problem. The machinery did not need to be reinvented. It was already there. It was already oiled and ready to go. Now we must speak honestly about race. Much of the hostility towards Meghan worked precisely because it avoided explicit racism. Well, for the most part. I mean, we saw it, we labeled it, we called it out. But for many who don't quite understand or have never experienced racism, whether that's microaggression or not, they didn't see it that way. Instead, it relied on coded language, difficult, divisive, ambitious, manipulative. These words allowed people to participate in harm without naming it, to deny prejudice while observing its conclusions. This is how racism survives in polite societies. Not shouted, but implied. Not owned, but outsourced. Many who accepted the lies do not believe themselves racist at all. That is why the coverage succeeded and continues to succeed. Because the first thing you hear when anyone is asked, they usually say, "No, I'm not racist. It's just that our cultures are so different. So different." Hmm, makes me wonder. Because Prince William, you see, has a very close friend, Jason something or another, I believe from Texas, that is an American. I don't see any trouble with him and the culture. So why Meghan? So you see, they use that as an example. It's different culture because no one wants to be called a racist, and no one's going to raise their hands and say, "Yes, I am a racist." But I mean, we saw it, and we saw it in blatantly, and we saw it in the coded words that they would use. I remember one of the co-hosts on Loose Women, and I'm going to paraphrase what she was saying, but she wanted to, I guess, be agreeable with the rest of the panel. So she said, and she's a woman of color. She's as far as I know, of Indian heritage. I am not sure. Um, and she said, "Well, I, to call Britain a racist country is absolutely preposterous. Britain is not racist at all. If anything, I am married to a white man, and if anything, it was my family that was racist, not not his family. It was my family. My brown family were the racist ones. I mean, his family received me with open arms. I would go over every weekend and help my mother-in-law to clean her flat, you see, because she was so busy, such a busy woman. I would clean her flat. I would make food for them. They so enjoyed the curry. So enjoyed the curry. So I usually would make curry for them. Also, I went over to my husband's brother's place. I would clean that also. I would make sure everything was put away because he's a young man. He's a young man, 30, 31 years old, and he doesn't quite know how to do things. I mean, they kept me busy, you see, but they were never ever racist against me. Never. Hmm. There is another layer we rarely discuss: emotional displacement. Britain has endured years of economic strain, austerity, and diminishing global confidence and influence. When societies feel powerless, resentment seeks an outlet. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, became a symbolic target: foreign, yet present; successful, yet unprotected; articulate, yet expected to be silent. She embodied joy, confidence, and moral language at a time when many felt stripped of all three. The resentment was not rational, it was redirected frustration given permission. And permission is the key word. When cruelty is echoed across newspapers, television, radio, and social media, it no longer feels, well, cruel. It feels sanctioned. And let me say this: when the first, as far as we know, mixed race baby was born within the royal family, legitimately and officially, let me use that caveat, and someone thought it would be humorous to have in the newspaper that tasteless, whatever they may call humor, basically calling the new prince a chimpanzee. When at the time, Prince Charles, the grandfather of this new baby, the heir to the throne, he had to become king, didn't say a word, not one single word. What do you think that is? That is permission. That was sanctioned. He didn't say a word. The future heir at the time, now heir to the throne, uncle to this newborn baby, didn't say a word. So people think if this were truly wrong, someone would stop it. If she were truly harmed, regulators would intervene. Silence becomes endorsement. At its core, this story is not about whether every individual believes the lies. It is about why this belief requires courage. Because to question the narrative meant, well, it would be questioning the press, the institution, the national self image. Britain likes to see itself as fair, tolerant, restrained. To accept Meghan's experience would require acknowledging that cruelty is not an exception, but a feature. Many chose denial instead. So, when we ask why the lies were accepted so easily, the answer is not that the public is uniquely cruel. It is that the public was prepared. They've been conditioned, prepared by culture, prepared by repetition, prepared by a system that rewards silence and punishes disruption. How many times have you not heard the excuse, well, he aired his family business in public. How dare he? How dare she? They aired their family. He said all these awful things about the family. Understanding this does not excuse the harm, but it does explain the scale. And it reminds us of something essential. When truth finally speaks clearly, it always feels disruptive because lies have had years to settle in. Stiff upper lip, emotional suppression as a virtue. One of the most deeply embedded British cultural ideas is the stiff upper lip. From childhood, people are taught do not complain, do not show distress publicly, do not make others uncomfortable with your pain. Suffering is framed as dignity, silence is framed as strength. So when Meghan spoke openly about distress, mental health, and harm, many were not hearing cruelty. They were hearing a violation of cultural etiquette. This primed people to think, why is she saying this out loud? Why isn't she just enduring it? The problem was not what she said, it was that she said it at all. Difference to institutions over individuals. British culture places extraordinary trust in institutions, particularly old ones. There is a long standing belief that institutions outlast individuals because they are wiser. Tradition equals moral authority. Systems must be protected even when imperfect. So when Meghan's lived experience conflicted with the monarchy, the palace, or the press, many instinctively sided with the structure, not the human being. This is not cruelty to them, it is conditioning. People are trained to assume the institution cannot be fundamentally wrong, only misinterpreted. Don't make a fuss culture. Another quiet but powerful British habit: discomfort with disruption. Culturally, there is admiration for keeping things smooth, not causing a scene, maintaining social calm. Those who raise uncomfortable truth are often seen not as brave, but as troublemakers, troublesome. So when Meghan presents, you know, generated conflict, the reflex was not to why is this happening to her? That is not how it would have been framed in their head, but rather, why is there so much trouble around her? The blame subtly shifts from the aggressor to the person who exposes the tension. Tabloid consumption as normal family ritual. Unlike in many countries, British tabloids are not fringe media. They are read across generations, shared casually, consumed alongside breakfast. This normalizes a dangerous idea that tabloids are part of culture, not agents shaping it. When the same framing appears every day in headlines, on television panels, on radio, it begins to feel less like persuasion and more like consensus. People were primed not because they were gullible, but because they trusted the familiarity. Polite language masking harsh judgment. British culture often values restraint in language. Tone matters more than substance. This made it easy for racialized and misogynistic narratives to hide inside. Politeness, oh, concern, balanced criticism. The cruelty didn't sound cruel, it sounded reasonable. And when harm arrives politely, people struggle to recognize it as harm at all. The national reflex to protect the story. Britain is deeply invested in its national myth: fairness, civility, moral progress. Meghan's experience threatened that self image. To accept her account would require admitting that racism persists, cruelty is normalized, institutions fail without accountability. Many people, many people instinctively protected the story of Britain rather than confront the reality beneath it. This is not unique to Britain, but it is particularly strong here. This is not just about Meghan. It is about how narratives are built and who we believe, and about what kind of people we choose to be when cruelty is made convenient. Cruelty seems to be on the rise around the world. So many people are losing their humanity. Or perhaps they're given an excuse to be cruel. And I hope what I've presented gives you some understanding of how some of this stuff is done. Because, we're all quick to judge. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I am a big believer that there's a reason behind everything. And my goal has always been, for my own education, is to always question why. Why? How come? I wonder. This is the best I could do, I could find, I could make sense. And I hope it has allowed you to learn something, or whether you accept what I'm saying or not, at least you're able to weigh what I'm saying against whatever belief you may have. Speaking of cruelty,
Rand, this should scare the shit out of all of you because you're next. If we allow this to happen to other people, you do realize that you're next, right? I'm not trying to sound balanced. Yesterday really fucked me up. An unarmed woman got shot in the head on camera. And before I even finished watching it, I already knew what was coming. I knew people were going to try to play mental gymnastics to try to explain why it was okay, why she deserved it. And that's the part that makes me sick, because when I watched it, I didn't see talking points. I didn't see politics. I saw a person get erased. And some of you watched the same video and immediately went looking for excuses. Why? Seriously, why? Why was that your instinct? What part of you needs a dead woman to be at fault so you don't have to actually feel what this actually is? And then the lies, blatant lies, easily provable lies from the U.S. goddamn president, calling her a professional agitator. She wasn't. Saying she ran someone over. He was on the side of the vehicle. Saying the ICE agent was near death and had to be hospitalized. He literally walked away. It's on video. He got into his car, and people still repeat the lies as if they were true. That's what scares me. It's absolutely insane how predictable it's become for people to abandon reality the moment that it threatens their identity. Do you realize how far gone that is? Do you understand how broken something has to be for the spin to be this automatic? And don't tell me that it's complicated. Don't tell me that there's more context. If this was your partner, your sister, your mom, would you still be reaching this hard, trying to explain why her death made sense? Or would you finally shut the up and feel it? Because she had people, she had a life, she had a future that ended on camera. And now her loved ones get to watch strangers online twist themselves into knots to make her death seem justified. That's not politics. That's rot. What happened in Minnesota wasn't confusing. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't debatable. And the fact that so many of you knew exactly how this was going to go down, the same left versus right bullshit before it even happened, that should scare the shit out of all of us. This should scare the shit out of us.
okay, so here we are, the Royal Circle. And our first story of course, this is so predictable because the smear campaign, the fast and furious way in which they treat the truth, and these smear campaigns are going to be just coming out like crazy, one after another, one after another, because of the trial that starts next week. So I mean, the article caught my attention, so I read it. So you don't have to. And basically, the article reports on pretrial arguments in Prince Harry's High Court case against Associated Newspapers, the publisher of the Daily Mail. Prince Harry, alongside other high profile claimants, including Baroness Lawrence and Sir Elton John, alleges unlawful information gathering by journalists, including phone hacking, blagging, records, blagging of records, and placing listening devices. And the article basically frames the lawyers, the legal team, as dishonesty, as being dishonest. They're fraudulent. They have conspiracy, professional misconduct. This nonsense. Because basically that's what they're trying to do, right? As you know, they've tried a gazillion times saying awful things about Prince Harry. Not to say they're not going to say it again. And also, of course, Meghan would be included in all of this. But I think this is the first time I've seen them try, saying things about the lawyers. So that's going to be an interesting one. But the whole problem with the article is that the way it is framed is completely biased. It's journalistic insincerity. I mean, it's a journalistic failure, to be honest. The article is a textbook example of narrative engineering, not neutral court reporting. The problems are structural and lack of um, not incidental, right? So one of the things, as we will look, the headline is legally reckless and prejudiced, really, right? Prince Harry lawyer is accused of dishonesty, fraud, and conspiracy. It treats allegations as quasi facts, foregrounds criminal language before any judicial finding. It omits that the judge explicitly criticized these allegations and ordered amendments. Right? They don't say that. The other thing they do is the inversion of victim and defendant. The article consistently shifts focus away from the alleged unlawful acts of the tabloids and onto the credibility of those bringing the case forward. Surprise, surprise? No, we're not. Strategic use of insinuations without uh, any sort of adjudication, right? They'll say things like, uh, or repeat phrases like accused of, alleged, suggestions that, it has previously been alleged that, right? Also, what has been proven, what has been argued, and what has been objected to, what the judge rejected. Many times, those things are not clearly distinguishable between what they're actually saying. They're saying that the intimidation narrative is irresponsible and amplified because one of the people, Gavin Burrows, claims that he feels intimidated. He feels fear for his safety, desire to hide his location, implication that journalists linked to claimants are threatening him. Because basically, things that he has said before, now he's saying that some of that he never really said, that it was taken out of context and all of that. So it's an interesting, I mean, it's not an interesting smear campaign. We know this is going to happen, right? So that is what that article is all about. No need to read it, no need to look at it. But listen, Sherborne is not playing with these people, okay? So, I mean, he did bring forth to the judge, and that's when the judge said, "Look, you guys need to amend this nonsense." because it's not the stuff is inflammatory. So let's see our next story. And now from our friends at Feminegra. Kate Middleton is endlessly described as the most popular royal alive. Polls get um, waved around and headlines repeated over and over these claims. Yet, when popularity faces its simplest tests, who actually shows up, the story collapses. BARB's official figures for 22nd to the 28th of December 2025 show that ITV's Royal Carols Together at Christmas failed to make the top 50 most watched programs. Oh well, oh well, oh well. Now, did we see that all over any of the tabloids? Did we? Did we? Did I miss it? Ah, I didn't see it either. And I mean, this one came as a complete shocker to me. Complete shocker. Not. Another week, another royal favorite wobbling on the edge. L.K. Bennett, long framed as a staple of Kate Middleton. Oh, je m'excuse, Catherine. Darling, it's Catherine. Catherine. Okay? Oy. All right. Catherine Middleton. Oh, whatever. Um, Favorite in her wardrobe has filed a notice of intention to appoint administrators. In other words, liquidation, they're having some issues. And what do we expect? What's going to happen, folks? What do you think? Close down in a month, 2 months, three? I mean, whatever happened to the Catherine effect? Is that no longer a thing? I thought it was a thing. No, it wasn't a thing. Oh, my mistake. I guess I'm reading the wrong tabloids then, because I'm sure they said it was a thing. So happy belated birthday to Kate, Catherine. Um, she spent it all by myself. Don't wanna be. When I was young, I never needed anyone. Listen. All right. So according to the press, she had a wonderful dinner with her mama and her sister, celebrating her 44th birthday. My dear, happy belated birthday and all the best. Now, I wonder what would be the headline in regards to imagine Meghan spending her birthday just with her mom at a restaurant, which is not anything special or unheard of, right? I think there would be rumors of divorce. Don't you guys think so? Don't you folks think so? There would be rumors of divorce. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. Now, also, Kate drove herself to the engagement she had. She received the lioness, the football team. Took a wonderful picture with them. I thought it was really great. Looked really nice. But also separately, William had a separate engagement. So he went to another. He did not do the engagement together with her, and she didn't do it with him. So, if we are to go by, what we've seen in the media in the UK, if we ought to go with patterns, if we apply the same pattern that they have applied to the Sussexes, I sense what? Let me hear it. Divorce, separation, divorce, separation, divorce, separation. Allegedly, allegedly. Right? Because do you folks remember? Oh, Harry is 1,000 miles away from Meghan. It is obvious he has and a this and a hotel room, and he has a penthouse in New York all by himself. Oh, trouble in paradise. You silly people. You dum-dums. Dum-dums. So here is my theory. Here's my theory. Okay? Let's do the math. Kate birthday alone with sister and mother. Kate solo engagement. And William over here who wants to be a lumberjack. Oh, Willie. Willie, stop it. Stop it. Willie engagement by himself. Equals what, people? Equals what? Come on. The image is right there. Equals crisis manager. Okay? All right? So we need to bring in the crisis manager because we know that there's trouble in the horizons. Or maybe there's trouble already here. You folks saw that video with Kate just giving him the cut eye like that. I tell you, if looks could kill, he would have been dead, 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 dead. And we also saw the kids with their weekend bags going back to Kensington Palace and the helicopter and stuff like that. So they can say whatever they want to say, but look. But let's hear what our friends at Palace Confidential, what they have to say. What this chupa mierda, that is Spanish for I don't want to say it in English. I really don't, because it's so rude. Chupa means to suck. Mierda means shit. So put the two words together and you get chupa mierda. So this chupa mierda here, let's hear. I mean, his mouth is even like, look at it. Look at it. Just perfect. He should suck on a lemon. But let's hear what he has to say.
Mushrooms. It's
Two very different interpretations wildly going through my head now.
It's a French bistro in Berkshire, quite near the Middleton family home. But they obviously had a nice lunch, but I think the real celebration was, as I say, with her own fungi later in the day. Sorry, my attempts at Christmas cracker humour maybe not working very well. But what was interesting was it was all kept quiet, and I did make the contrast in my diary because every time that Harry and Meghan go out in LA, we get all the paparazzi pictures, it's all palaver. But with Catherine, just quiet lunch, no one knew about it until a few days later the restaurant put it on their own social media to say.
Sunshine, that's a fabulous nickname. Richard Eden, tell us all. What can you tell us?
Yeah, this is the latest press officer to be recruited by Kensington Palace, by William and Catherine. She's Liza Ravenscroft. I think I've got her name right, have I? And what was interesting and what they promoted in this article was the fact that her background was in crisis management, which is one aspect of public relations where, you might hire someone if you've got a big problem you need to deal with. Everyone at the Palace is very keen to stress that actually her role will be as a general press officer. There is no crisis. She won't be having to deal with any crisis in particular. But it's an interesting appointment and one to watch.
And you've written about this in your Mail column today. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so what I've been writing about is that although they're keen to stress that she's not hired specifically to deal with crisis, I think there is likely to be one in the future, and it will involve Harry and Meghan. And that is because they are planning to spend more time in Britain. I think we're going to speak about this later in the programme. And that brings with it certain challenges, I think, for William and Catherine. And it's all to do with this sort of rival court that Harry and Meghan are trying to establish. And there are likely to be tensions in the future.
I swear to you, these people cannot help themselves. They really can't. I mean, look at this dum-dum. Dum-dum has to bring in Meghan and Harry, Meghan and Harry. Well, if it was the Montecito set, if they went to dinner, everyone would know. You see, they would be telling the press. You dum-dum. You see, when they go out, the press follows them. They're not asking for the press to be there or to take their pictures or anything like that. Okay, so stop trying to pretend like this is something they're like, I don't know, put in a bat signal up in the air and say, Meghan and Harry will be at this restaurant today. You know why they didn't follow Kate? Because no one freaking cares. All right. Or maybe they care. I don't know. All right. Look at his face. Look at his face. Only a mother would love it. Well, who knows? And Can that be more obvious? Well, the palace insisted that just because it's a crisis manager, there's no crisis whatsoever. There's no crisis whatsoever. You know, I'm seeing a pattern here. So when the first thing that comes to mind is when a certain person by the name of Kingston or last name or whatever, you folks know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, in an article, it was written, and oh, Prince William had nothing to do with what happened at the blah, blah, blah. Then there was another article. What would happen if the monarch committed a crime? I am starting to see a pattern here. Do you? Because I do. And then there was this little treasure in the Telegraph. The Telegraph, boy. So the whole thing here is that, according to them, Prince Harry is pushing to reunite with the king at Invictus Games. King Harry. Prince Harry wants a big spectacle. He wants to have this dramatic reunion of him and the king opening the games. And this is his way of reconciliation, that he's demanding this and he's blah, 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 blah. So I kept thinking, well, that's interesting. Why would, what I would expect is that out of courtesy, the foundation would send invitations out to the royal family. That's expected. Nothing, out of the ordinary about that. But this whole thing about creating a big spectacle about it, So then I thought, because also Ricardo Chupamierda over here had like his little comments to make, him and Ozempic or whatever, had their own commentary. And just to show you how misinformation happens, right? How we need, okay, media training. We need to understand how these things work. Because the way they framed this, and you will hear it. The way they framed this was of course, of course, to the detriment of Prince Harry. So I thought, well, let me do some quick investigation, because the way they're saying this is as if Prince Harry's spokesperson has said these things. Well, guess what? I did some digging here or there and everywhere, and I found out that it's an anonymous source. Did you hear me again? It's an anonymous source that the Sun is quoting as saying that this is what Prince Harry wants. This is what he's craving. This big reunion. This spectacle. Immediately, I was like, wow. So from one invented story, because we're going to say anything that doesn't come from an official spokesperson of the Sussexes, it's an invented story created out of air. Because my anonymous source told me that is bull. It's bull. Bull excrement. That is what my anonymous sources told me. I even spoke with Little Tony, and Little Tony said, what? He said, no, that's not happening. That's not real. Because I need to teach these people about, what journalism really is. I said, okay, if you want to. But this is bull, people. Bull.
Comes to the UK in July in 2027. Now, Rebecca, tell us about this. How likely is that? Testify very passive-aggressive, just announce this.
To put it out through the pages of the newspaper and not really give the palace a chance to respond properly. So the newspaper said that Harry is desperate for his father to open the Invictus Games, which returns to the UK in 2027, and that he would like other royal family involvement there, but particularly his father. And obviously there's been a lot laid on this story about how they're very keen for a reunion, and this could be the perfect example of how it's happened. But it does put the king in a very invidious position as head of the armed forces, that this kind of request is being played out in a very public way, when actually I think the feeling is that it should be something that's discussed behind closed doors.
Richard Eden, what, if you can speculate at all, what do you think is going through the king's head about this? What can he do?
If I was him, I would be annoyed because, it puts pressure on him and it puts him in a difficult position. I mean, let's be clear. When the Invictus Games were launched in London back in 2014, the monarch, Queen Elizabeth, she didn't attend. Then Prince Charles and Camilla did, and Prince William, but the monarch didn't. So there's no obligation for the king to attend these games next year. But I'm sure he might want to. He'll support ex-servicemen. But the whole way it's being done is awkward and I would say unpleasant.
Because it feels like when you invoke this, it's such an emotional event because of the veterans being involved, so that you could almost understand the king feeling like he can't say no.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Invictus Games is a great charity. It really is. Harry was encouraged to set it up. At the time, he did so with William and Catherine as part of their foundation, and he was inspired by the Warrior Games in the USA. And it's a great cause, which I'm sure all the royal family admire Harry for being involved with and want to support. But like I said, there's no obligation on the king to attend this, and I think the general feeling seems to be that they hope that relations with Harry and Meghan will be much better by that time, and so then it would be natural that he would attend. But let's wait and see.
I mean, I would just, sorry, Jay, to add to that, I mean, I've attended quite a few of the Invictus Games in my role as a royal correspondent when Harry was a working member of the royal family. And Richard's right, they are absolutely amazing events, and it just feels, I don't know, it feels to me slightly distasteful that, the amazing efforts of these men and women are kind of being used as a pawn in a kind of, a public game between father and son, which is why I think, very strongly, I know people within royal circles believe this is something that should be addressed between them privately, because it kind of sullies what's going on. Yeah. You should be focusing on their achievements, not using it almost as leverage to get your father to back you. So I think there's a lot of people who feel quite uncomfortable about this.
Yeah, it's just
Now, allow me to be serious here. What we have just listened to or witnessed on Palace Confidential is not journalism. It is theater dressed up as reporting, gossip laundried through accents of authority and conjuncture, elevated to concern by the simple act of repetition. Remember what I said before? Okay, I'm happy you folks are listening. Let us be clear, very clear about this. This entire segment is built on absolutely nada, nothing, zero. Not a statement, not a quote, not a source willing to stand in daylight. It rests instead on a familiar British media clout. An anonymous line attributed to The Sun, a paper that long ago forfeited the presumption of good faith where Prince Harry is concerned. From that void, an elaborate moral drama is constructed and then solemnly discussed as though it had substance. You dum-dum, dum-dum. The maneuver is as old as Fleet Street itself. First, invent a pressure that does not exist. Then scold the person you've invented it for and apply it to that person. At no point does anyone on the panel ask the only journalistic question that matters: who actually said this? Instead, they proceed as though Prince Harry has stood in the town square, trumpet in hand, demanding obedience from the king. He has not. No evidence is offered that he has, but evidence, inconvenient thing that it is, would spoil the performance, wouldn't it?
Thank you, Antonio. I'll take it from here. So the language shifts. Passive-aggressive. Bouncing the king. Distasteful. Using veterans as leverage. These are not findings. They are insinuations. Verbs and adjectives. Doing the work facts refuse to do. Notice the sleight of hand. Invictus is first praised reverently as an amazing charity, and then, without pause, its very existence is repurposed as a moral cudgel against its founder. The games are transformed from a global rehabilitation movement for wounded veterans into a pawn. In a soap opera, the panel insists it regrets, even as it meticulously advances it. That is not concern. That is exploitation. And the most revealing moment arrives when the king is cast as the victim, pressured, cornered, emotionally blackmailed by a son who in reality has spent years being excluded, silenced, and briefed against. The powerful are infantilized. The less powerful are accused of manipulation. It is a neat inversion, polished by decades of habit. Even the historical reference is misused. Yes, Queen Elizabeth II did not open Invictus in 2014. That fact is paraded as though it were a constitutional shield, when in truth it is irrelevant. No one is arguing obligation. The discussion pretends otherwise, because obligation is easier to rebuff than invitation. And then comes the final flourish, the diary clash, Queen Camilla's birthday, the suggestion of escape routes and scheduling maneuvers. Speculation piled upon speculation, until we are no longer discussing Invictus, veterans, or service at all. We are discussing palace logistics as though they were a chess puzzle, and Harry's supposed motives as though they were known quantities.
Okay, let's move on from that to something more fun, because that's what it is, fun. And how many of you were able to purchase? How many? Because in a blink of your eye and it was gone. I think they said about 7 minutes and it was all sold out. Incredible, just incredible. And an incredible way also to bring attention to a small company in the UK. I went to their About page to just look them up a little bit. And what it says here, it says, what's more fun than the word fun? The Welsh equivalent, Sibri, says it as your 7-year-old self that just heard the jingle of the ice cream van. Our founder, Emily Carr, is fluent in it. Welsh and fun, if you're wondering. Emily, her husband and co-founder, Tony, has fun in just one language, though, at this stage. That's funny. What we do, we are a made-to-order leather accessory brand that's all about celebrating the extra things in life, the little things that make it better, like feeling the warm sun, or your face. On your face, not or your face, on your face. Whipped cream and sprinkles on just about anything. Lovingly handcraft pieces made from sustainable sourced, premium quality British and Italian leather. Personalized by and for you. All the good stuff. Incredible, right? Amazing. And that short film, ladies and gentlemen, was brought to you by the one and only Princess Lily. Yes, yes, and yes. The person recording her parents, Princess Lily, her first short film, as far as we know. Just wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, let me get stew fish.
It finish.
Curry mutton.
Sold out.
2 chicken and rice.
What rice?
White rice.
It finish. Rice and peas.
Safe. Let me get plenty of gravy with that though, yeah? 2 festival.
Sold out.
Fried dumpling.
How many?
2.
No. 1 left.
Just take the one.
Anything else?
Yeah. Let me grab a large order of plantain. Plantain. Reggae banana.
You mean plantain?
Plantain.
Plantain.
Listen, Shaba. Plantain.
Where you find that? On a mountain? That's why your face looks so stupid.
Hey, what?
So, that's a red pea soup. Wings and patty.
Yes, miss.
Stew chicken, plenty of gravy, rice and peas, 1 dumpling, and a large plantain. Or you want something else?
So maybe you folks already know about this. I almost missed it actually. So I had no idea. Like it completely went over. I wouldn't say went over my head, but I just today saw this as I was doing some other research, and so Daily Mail, according to the New York Times, the Daily Mail owner agrees to buy the Telegraph, consolidating right-leaning media in Britain. The deal would combine 2 of the country's major newspaper groups, a move likely to attract antitrust scrutiny. Well, it should. Um, it says here, and this was in November of last year, the owner of the Daily Telegraph, the British media outlet, said on Saturday it was in advanced talks to sell itself to a major rival, a move that would further consolidate the country's news media. Telegraph Media Group said it was finalizing terms of a deal to be sold to DMGT, the owner of the Daily Mail, the country's biggest newspaper by circulation, for £500 million or $655 million. The talks came a little over a week after the Telegraph said a previous suitor, the American investing firm Redbird Capital Partners, had walked away from its own £500 million takeover bid. The Daily Telegraph is Britain's largest and best quality broadsheet newspaper, and I have grown up respecting it, said Jonathan Rothermere, the chairman of DMGT and and part of the founding family, said in a statement. It has a remarkable history and has played a vital role in shaping Britain's national debate over many decades. Folks, like really, like, I mean, honestly, the takeover of these right wing, there was a time where people used to think, oh, the media's so liberal, the media's liberal, 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 liberal. The media's not liberal. You watch the news today, and I am just flabbergasted with the things they don't say, the things they omit, the eternal sort of coverage that they give to certain person and certain people. And now this, I mean, if this is approved, if the regulators approve this, this is just idiotic. Idiotic that so much media is concentrated in basically two people's hands. I mean, it's 3 really, but 2. Britain, come on. Well, if you didn't know, now you know. And this is where I think I have to say goodbye. Thank you for your patience. It's always a journey to get this stuff. I have to stop promising or posting and saying, "Oh, I'll see you at 6." It's just I do that because I want you to know that I'm working on the podcast, and it's going to be up at some point today. And I'm often failing in the time I want to post it, and when I do post it, then something always happens. I have to redo this or that. Anyways, enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you. If you are a subscriber, remember to put your notification on. If you are new around here, do subscribe. We appreciate you subscribing because, listen, more subscribers cannot hurt, right? And right now it's free. It's an offer. Do remember to leave a comment and share, download, all those things that keeps the account, the channel active. So it tells the algorithm that people are engaging and people are still appreciating some of what we do. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your patience, your dedication, and your love. I think our next episode will be comments and some other stuff because I do want to get to your comments. So the next episode I'll dedicate to that. And to all of those who have also donated to the channel, thank you so very much. And I will mention it, make sure you are mentioned in the next episode. Take care. Really, really, really take care of yourselves, okay? Be kind to yourselves and kind to your loved ones. And to that stranger crossing your path, be kind to them too, as much as you can. With much love. God bless. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Mwah.
They thought endurance would break her, that time would do their work. They mistook patience for weakness, mistook grace for hurt. But look, she built a life in daylight, beyond their reach, beyond their frame. And the joy they never predicted became the loudest thing. They waited for regret, she chose regret. They waited for apology, she chose it. I'm still here, still rising, still holding my skin. What didn't end me taught me how to begin. They don't get the ending, they rehearse for years. I'm still here, and that is the victory, dear. Success doesn't always shout, sometimes it breathes, sometimes it looks like peace. No one asks permission to keep, sometimes it's children laughing off camera, off script, sometimes